green. I got the red. We look like Christmas over here.
Hey, I mean, Christmas was a few weeks ago, but
Yeah, basically, if you're a draft fan, it was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, definitely.
Which, for you.
Yeah,
100%.
for me.
Yeah. The weekend, all right, man? You get to watch any basketball or anything?
I didn't watch any basketball. I watched some hockey, and then
You're becoming a hockey fan.
dude, the playoffs have got me locked in.
As they should. It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
The crowds are always great. I think they're better than NBA crowds, and they're about the same size.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're intense. They get into it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the NBA crowds aren't into it. I do want to point that out.
Yeah, no.
You remember when the every team in the playoffs used to do the whiteouts, blue outs, like how
Uh-huh.
it was. That's all. I feel like that's just gone. Are they doing that at all in the hockey?
I don't know. I don't know. Like basketball back in the day, I was so into, like the Thunder when they first, started making the playoffs. They would every single playoff home game. It was like they had a new T-shirt, for the fans, left over the back of the seat. All right, everyone put your, at that time it was, most of the time it was James Harden, fear the beard, type.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Good times. Also, Colin, welcome back, man. We missed you. I'm glad to hear you're okay.
Colin.
Good to have you back, man. Yeah, I do miss those. Just everything about it was just EA. And maybe it's like most people say they don't ever evolve their music tastes. Like whatever you listen to in high school and junior high is pretty much what you love. Right?
Yeah.
That's maybe this is the same thing with sports. Like, yeah, it was always best when I was growing up, man. Like the way the NFL was, it's just not the same.
Yeah. I mean, basketball, it's definitely not the same though.
Yeah.
It's
not the same. So how about this? Did you see Jokic?
Yeah.
And absolutely, and I did say this at work today. I said that I absolutely should have been suspended, but I am a Phoenix Suns fan.
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing the Suns get the short end of the stick when it comes to playoffs and suspensions.
I mean, the technical foul, yeah, definitely. The fine, yeah. I don't know about a suspension. I mean, the owner,
He said,
I don't know. Yeah, and the thing is like the owner kind of, whenever he tried to take the ball and it kind of like went away, he kind of like pushed at, pushed. And I think that's what Jokic was like, okay. Because honestly, I don't know if Jokic knew exactly who it was.
No, I wouldn't have been able to pick out the owner out of a crowd.
Yeah.
So I get that. But does it matter if it was the owner?
No, definitely not. I mean, I think it probably would have been worse if it was a fan than it was if it was the owner. Now, if it was a fan, he just kind of shoved. I think he probably would have got the suspension. But I think since it was the owner, there's probably somewhat a little bit, more leniency, because I think it would be more volatile if it was a fan, that a chance of some escalating onto the court would, probably be a lot higher probability than it would be, because I doubt the owner's going to come out on the court and start swinging like a fan probably would.
Mark Cuban might, but probably most.
Yeah.
Or what was the guy who bought the Clippers a couple years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely would.
Yeah. The owner shouldn't have taken the ball. I mean, that's probably true. But it's courtside seats, so maybe it's like my one opportunity, but you're the owner, so I guess a regular fan.
Yeah.
I want to pull this out. Are the Golden State Warriors in trouble? They don't win. They don't play well on the road. They've already lost one at home and now one on the road. They had to steal two from the Lakers.
Yeah.
I think in order to win the series, they had to steal two from the Lakers on the road. I don't think they can do it.
I will never count out Steph Curry, especially, the last time they lost a playoff series was 2014 to the Clippers. So that tells you every other time that they were in the playoffs, they won the championship.
Yeah.
So I will never count them out, because you never know. Anthony Davis, if he goes down, Lakers are done.
Okay, good point. Yeah. So barring injury, but it does seem like they're going to need, like, this is a must-win game tonight when they play in LA.
For sure.
Yeah. I do want to see some new blood in the finals, and I don't think we're going to get it. I think it's going to be Celtics, Lakers, maybe.
Hey, you never know. The Suns or Nuggets, You never know.
But we've seen the Suns recently. We haven't seen the Nuggets, I don't think, ever. Not at least since we've been alive.
No.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts then on the NHL playoffs then? I mean, you've been watching those more than the NBA.
I mean, granted, I don't know a whole lot about NHL at all, but it's been I love the intensity that the home ice brings. Those fans get into it so much. I think that's what really caught my attention was how much the fans are just in there, banging on the glass. People get when the players get close. Did you see that one with? I'm pretty sure it was an Oilers player, and one of the fans, he's like making a face at her. She's like flipping him off. I'm like, that right there was like intense because and so I'm like, man, but I mean, so far the Panthers. I mean, granted, I've seen people say, oh, they shouldn't have ever been in the series with the Bruins, but I mean, you take out the Bruins, who were in discussion for greatest team ever, and now you're up on the team after the Bruins get knocked out, the team that was the odds-on favorite to win the Stanley Cup, and now you're on the verge of sweeping the Maple Leafs. Sorry, Colin, I know you are a Maple Leafs guy, but
and I'm sad because how long has it been since Toronto? Or when was the last time Canada won the NHL? Won the NHL? I feel like they just need a team, and right now they only have one chance. Well, no, they only have one chance. Who's the other team?
Edmonton.
Edmonton is still in. That's why. Okay, yeah. So Edmonton, and they played tonight. So but Seattle put up 7, and then the other game, the New Jersey Devils put up 8 the other day.
Yeah. Seattle put up 5 in the second period on the Stars. So I watched a bit of that, and I was like, well, partway through the second period, I was like, it's over. It over.
Yeah, Colin, no love for the Panthers.
Oh,
it's just where is that team even at? The Panthers. Where do they play?
Florida.
I know, but where in Florida? Where's their stadium?
I wouldn't.
93 was the last time that
I can't tell you.
In Canada. Thank you, Colin. Leave it to the Canadian. He knows. Man, locked in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find this out. If you beat me to this, Colin, if you can't put in the chat, where do they play? Sunrise? Where's Sunrise? I don't know my Florida geography apparently as well as I thought.
So I don't know Sunrise.
I'll pull it up. Why is it?
But
I'm gonna try and beat him. Here we go.
I'm gonna try to beat him.
Sunrise. I got it in Sunrise, Florida. That's perfect, but I don't know where that is. Is that like near Tampa? I'm just gonna pull up Sunrise.
Yeah, I have no clue. I've never really heard of Sunrise.
It looks nice on the Google. Oh, it's near West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Not really West Palm Beach, but Fort Lauderdale. Yes.
Gotcha.
Boca. Yeah, there you go.
Damn. What's up, buddy?
Southern Florida. Look at this. Yeah, the Canadian, again, teaching us geography. This is not looking good for us. Colin, we appreciate you, man. MVP so far.
I mean, I know geography. I'd never heard of Sunrise, so I couldn't have told you where it was.
Sunrise, Arizona. I know that one.
Yeah. And I say I've never heard of Sunrise, Florida, so that was new to me.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, man. But all right. So, any other final thoughts on the hockey playoffs?
I'm hoping the Stars can find a way to pull it out.
They still have a chance.
Yeah. I mean, they were down 2-1 to the Wild in the first series, so I have all faith in them. Ottinger, he'll have a better game. There's no way he's giving up 7 goals again.
That's a lot. And that's just a lot wrong all at once, and that's just momentum at that point.
And it was like one after another. After it was just like the onslaught in the second period. It all happened within like a 7-minute window. 5 goals. It was just like boom, boom. I'm sitting there. I'm getting an update on my phone because I was doing something. I'm like, they just scored, and then I get another update. I'm like, what is going on? Yeah.
I don't know. I like that the Seattle is still in it just because the new franchise fan base, and Seattle does have great fans in sports.
Yeah.
They really haven't won a championship since the Seahawks did what in 11, 12, something like that. No, 2013.
Yeah. something like that.
Know that, but yeah.
Oh, because they didn't run the ball on the goal line against the Patriots, they probably would have had another one.
I know.
Just saying.
Good times.
Pete Carroll.
It says pull the starters. Pull the first string. First line. Right. I'm gonna get the right phrasing here.
Yeah. Colin, I am loving the playoffs. It may have grasped my interest that now I'll watch it throughout the next season. The playoffs have definitely, I mean, I'm sure every game isn't as tense as this, but it's definitely grasped my attention that they actually do score more than I realized. I didn't know if it was, I mean, my recollection of hockey is like early 2000s, and it wasn't a whole lot of goals, and I kind of thought of it as the same instance as soccer, where you go maybe you get a couple goals here and there, but yeah, no, I'm definitely loving the playoff hockey. So we'll see if it can maintain my attention throughout the next season.
I think there's a good chance.
I like it. I mean, I have to have something in place now for basketball, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's just sad. It's
yes.
Sad.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg, look at that. Going to be in with the Ottawa Senators. Could you imagine?
Oh,
what a world we live in.
That's pretty cool.
Well, we're going to get into some notes here in a second. So we might have a shorter episode. One, because last week was a nice long episode. So if you didn't get to listen to the draft review, I mean, that was an in-depth. Thank you to Tubby for bringing that. That was awesome. But then, so a couple things. One, I'm a sub for Stephanie's softball team.
Oh, nice.
They're asking me to step up to the plate tonight. Hopefully hit a few dingers.
They need that super sub.
Yeah, super subs. We're going to say play first base or something. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. But I did play basketball this last week.
Did you?
Yeah, first time in like a little over a year, and I'm not as sore as I thought I'd be, which is nice. But I did. We played against like just guys who were in their like maybe just late 30s, maybe early 40s, all the way to like 16-year-old kids, which they were going 110% the whole time. We were up 2-0 in the series, and we didn't change teams for 6 games. We were up 2-0. We lose 3 straight games because someone kept taking bad shots, and it wasn't this guy.
It wasn't this guy.
This guy. I wasn't making shots, but I wasn't taking bad ones either.
I don't know if you were ever up there with us. Do you remember a guy named Phil up at the Claymore Rec Center? The old man. All he did was shoot hook shots.
Oh, just the classic.
Yeah, he's like in his 50s, 60s at that time. He played with JoJo White at Kansas. Like he was telling me like this whole thing because if you ever seen Glory Road, the story of him stepping out of bounds. He's like, it never happened. It was fixed. He didn't step out of bounds. But the first time I ever played with him, we roll up to the rec center, and I'm like, I got the old guy. I'm covering the old guy. I don't have to run as much. And Phil absolutely cooked me. Could not stop. The hook shot was unstoppable. I mean, he's standing at half court and just draining hook shot after hook shot. I'm like, ridiculous. Between the games. Yeah. And so every time I'd go to the rec center and he was there, I was like, I got Phil. And people are like, what? I'm like, yeah, I was like, I got Phil. I know what I'm doing. I got Phil. Yeah, it was insane how deadly the hook shot was.
Do you know that like backpedal that all basketball players do as they go back after they score or whatnot? So
yeah,
one of my good friends, he's playing on my team. He's torn his ACL 3 times. Same ACL.
Oh wow.
I think it's 3 times. So he knows like the limits. He's out there. He can knock down any shot. So he knocks down a shot and then he starts as a fast break through the guy or whatever. It's kid's sprinting. He's 16. And so he's just backing up. And once they kind of meet like side by side almost. And he's doing the backpedal thing at like the line. And it was so funny because he just goes right on by him and he just kept doing the backpedal. And I was like, man, that was genius. I don't need to turn that.
I can't imagine what I would look like out on a basketball court right now. I think half court would be the limit. There's no way I could play full court right now. Your boy is out of shape.
Well, this is how you get there. You just do the 3-point lines. You're like, I'm going 3, and you know what? You're a great rebounder, but most everybody, no one was like in the group. Most of everybody was hanging around the 3-point line, and I was like, well, someone's got to be down low. I guess I'll just do it. I'm not very good at guys guarding me, he was a little taller than me, but he wasn't necessarily bigger than me. So I was like, this will be fine. And they were sagging off me. Like, it was like I couldn't even reach him. He just kept, and I was like, well, how far do I go back until I'm like out of bounds?
Yeah.
No one does a pick and roll like even in pickup games, no one's rolling. So I told my friend, I was like, hey, if we're on a team next time, I just need you to roll. And there's another guy who played semi-pro ball out here. Then I was trying to get him to see if he'll come next week when we play. And I was like, hey, I just need you to roll. You'll be open every single time.
Yeah. The kids don't know what a pick and roll is anymore.
Yeah. Colin just said he'd be water boy. Come on, man. MVP right there. Just
hey. I heard a story about a water boy, and he went on to lead the LSU Mud Dogs to the Bourbon Bowl. Just saying.
Let's go. Championship. Yeah. All right. Are you ready to start the pod?
Yeah, we're ready.
All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Welcome back, everyone, to the W Sports Podcast. Jimothy here alongside me, as always, is the one and only Tubby. Welcome back to the show.
What is up? Glad to see everyone in the chat right now hanging out with us on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it right, Tubby. So if you didn't know, again, we got 15 minutes of bonus content. If you're listening to this on the podcast, one, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for downloading the episode with us this week. And if you didn't already know, we're on YouTube right now, like Tubby mentioned, and the chat's been great. We've got some stories in there too. So you want to head over to YouTube, make sure you subscribe. We're over 150 subs already. So thank you guys for that. We're on the journey to 250 and another giveaway. So if you haven't subbed, now is the time. And if you already subbed, you're still eligible for this giveaway. Okay, I'm just saying it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, what better way? You go. All you gotta do is hit that button, and boom, you're entered for an autographed jersey. I mean, It's so simple.
Wow. And I want to break down what we're going to do today, because we're going to do something a little different. Because we recorded so long last week. We're going to make up for it this week with a little bit short of an episode, just because I can only post so much time. Well, we can only post so much time each month. But and there's 5 Mondays in this month. It's just nuts. Yeah. So looking at this today, we're going to go over a couple of quick news and notes from the NFL, from the Kansas City Chiefs to Broncos to just Tom Brady news. He's back at it again. We're going to get to that. Also, the Thunder has a hilarious NBA thing. Another reason why they need to draft Jalen Williams in this year's draft. And then, yes, we're so close to Memorial Day. It's time to look. Is it time to panic? It's time to look at teams in baseball. Is it time to panic? So if it is, we're going to fix some teams today. So I thought that'd be a fun game. If we look at these teams that are struggling and say, how are you going to fix it, Tubby? How are we going to fix this team? And maybe you're like Colin, who's in the chat right now, and you got the Toronto Blue Jays as your team. And you know what? There's not a whole lot to fix. There's a little bit maybe, but there's not a whole lot. So maybe we can tweak. So if you're in the chat and you're here with us right now already on the podcast, know that you can drop your team and how you'd want us to fix it, or ask us how we fix it. Let's get your opinion. That's what this podcast is all about. Feel good?
Love it.
Okay, I feel like I said a lot. So we're going to just jump in. First thing, I think is the funniest thing. Jalen Williams did not get the unanimous rookie first team because one of the writers, I'm guessing, put it for the wrong Jalen Williams.
I know. I saw that and I was like, that's like a classic mix-up. And like, yeah, there is another Jalen Williams in this year's draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they gotta go draft him. You gotta have all 3. That could be just a great T-shirt promo for the Thunder.
Yeah. Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
or they can go like Eminem style. Will the real Jalen Williams please stand up? And all 3 of them stand up.
Yeah, they're just...
Yeah.
So many great options. He still made first team or all rookie or whatever, so that's still good. Yeah. And he can at least go home about this, and his teammate Jalen Williams can also say, hey, listen, I got a vote here. I don't know what that says about me, but feeling pretty good about it.
I got a first team vote. Didn't get a second team vote, but I got that first team vote.
Yeah, I would love to be able to just tell everybody that. But listen, your boy, when he retires, maybe that's his claim. So now he's got it. You got a vote. I'm just saying, got a vote.
I mean, the kid has the potential to be a good ball player. He is a charge-taking machine.
Yeah, well, as long as he's not flopping, that's the biggest thing.
No, it's not flopping. I watched him back in college. It was 1 year at Arkansas. And no, he takes it straight in the chest every single time, and he puts his body on the line every single time someone comes in that lane. It's pretty impressive to watch, actually.
Well, there you go. Well, they're going to have a good chance to continue to build with this team, which is going to be nice. There was a little bit of talk. If you want more NBA talk, there was more on YouTube. Okay, there's more about that on YouTube, so you can definitely go check that out, as well as NHL, because we did hit that. Tubby's become one of the biggest fans. If you're watching the YouTube chat right now, you're seeing he's decked out in green. I'm just probably because of the stars. It's just
absolutely.
Yeah.
I might have to get me a Jake Ottinger, jersey, or Jamie Benn, one of the two. Jamie Benn was the reason why I like the Stars, because I don't know, for some reason I kind of gravitated towards Jamie Benn. I don't know how many years ago, but yeah, I'm gonna have to get me decked out in Stars.
Hockey jerseys are pretty sick. Like, I like them a lot. I like the hockey jersey, like the hockey jersey style of a hoodie that they have now. That's pretty popular in sports. So that's a good question. What's the best jersey? What's the best one? Like, if you're gonna wear a jersey, which one do you want to wear?
I mean, that's tough. I think mine would be baseball, because it's kind of versatile. Either you can button it up, or you can go unbutton with a shirt underneath, like a white t-shirt underneath.
Classic look.
Yeah, it's versatile. So, I'm gonna go with the baseball.
So I'd probably go with baseball, depending. So if I was like, there's a lot of great ones. We talked about this in a previous episode, where you could have, like, the Blue Jays have great uniforms almost across the board. Some of the classic Royals, the blue people really love, the Phillies blue, the pinstripes, the Yankees. Obviously, there's some really good ones. But if I was a team of, like, the Dodgers, I don't think I would. No offense to the Dodgers, it's not quite doing it for me.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely. I mean, they are kind of just either blue or gray.
Yeah,
and that's about it. Or white.
I wouldn't wear a Red Sox one either. It's the same thing to me. They're classic. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's definitely. I think the Dodgers, they're just that. It's tradition type thing, so they don't want to change it a whole lot. So I get that part, but I like new things. I think, especially jerseys. I'm one of those fans that you get a nice new jersey, I'm gonna like. I like it. I'm gonna want it. Like,
the Tampa Bay Devil Rays with the yellow.
Yeah.
Green. Oh, the classic. That's a good one.
The
Florida Marlins blue.
The Expos.
Yeah, the Expos were a good one too.
I'm a big Expo. I mean, I had the Expo hat back in high school.
What about? I remember that. What about the Padres? All bad jerseys, right? They're all terrible.
Honestly, I will say I think that their City Connect jerseys kind of get a bad rap. I think they're kind of cool. I'm not like a big bright color guy. The bright teal and pink and yellow. I think they're kind of cool. And
they're one of the better ones. They're better than San Francisco's, but that's exactly what Stephanie just yelled across the room. She goes, "Their City Connects are pretty good."
Yeah, the brown stuff. Yeah, I'm not a fan of. Yeah. I like that they went back kind of to the old school like Padres, but no, the City Connect ones are kind of cool. Yeah, the Giants City Connect are absolute garbage.
They're the worst ones. I'm terrified of what the Cardinals are going to look like eventually, because it feels like every team's doing it, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Cardinals have one next year. I don't think they're set to this year, but if they did, it'd probably be the London series maybe, but we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
Colin said in the chat, hockey jerseys. That makes sense. I do think hockey is probably tied for second. To me, it's going to go baseball for everyday use, but for a game day use, I probably would lean towards football or hockey. Just the way basketball's bottom for me, because it's the sleeveless thing. And just for the record, the t-shirt jerseys they had back in 2012, hated them. Absolutely. So just because you put sleeves on does not mean it's going to be better.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Keep sleeves off the NBA jerseys forever.
Yeah, it was horrible. And they were just trying all these awful things. So,
like 30 years from now, we're going to have retro jersey night, and it's going to be the sleeve jerseys in the NBA.
Yeah, I will say, when I play basketball now, I wear a long sleeve. I don't know why. I don't want to. I just stay warm longer. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know if I could do it. I wear long sleeve shirts almost all the time, but they're like those, thin, like fishing shirt types.
Like a fishing shirt.
Yeah.
Very breathable.
But I can't have it too close to my hand, and so it's like quarter way up my forearm.
Okay.
So I don't know if I can do it basketball. I know I did the shooting sleeve and all, but I had it up enough that it wasn't so close to my hand that for some reason it weirds me out. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know either. Let's get some the news and notes in the NFL. So John Litz said they actually drafted Jake Moody in the third because multiple teams were trying to trade up to get him. Do you believe that? Or so like they're like, hey, I guess if everybody wants him, we'll take him. I mean, does that sound plausible to you?
So I don't believe the story at all. I think he's trying to justify the fact that they took him, because that was the thing. They took him because other teams were saying, hey, we're going to jump in front of you and take him. And so I think probably it was a big ploy of people were like, oh, we know that they want him, so let's kind of go, hey, let's try to jump in front of them, take Jake Moody, and that way take him off the board, and it just kind of goes a little further down. But I was just like, there's no chance. You're trying to get out of a situation where you drafted a kicker in the third round and thinking that it was a good idea, and now everyone's calling you out on it, so you have to try to stay face going, oh, well, they're trying to take our guy. I'm like, yeah, right. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know that I've actually ever heard that as a story post-draft, though. Like, you heard of, like, oh, there are lots of people who wanted to, we had to trade up, but I've never heard of it like that. Like that,
yeah.
Because that's where my notes are. But, like, I've never heard of the story play out like that. That was just so random to me.
Especially for a kicker in the third round.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand if it was like a quarterback in the first round or second round, a guy that slid like Will Levis, Titans traded up to get him.
Yes.
but not a kicker in the third round.
No. I think, I don't know. It's just teams just make desperate moves at different times. So John Lynch, how long will he keep this job?
I mean, they're competitive every year, so I think that he'll stay as long as they're competitive. But he has made some, questionable moves, but they've also hit a lot in the draft on guys that you wouldn't expected. Fred Warner, no one expected Fred Warner to be the best linebacker in the NFL. But you then turn around a few years later and you trade 3 first-round picks and, all this stuff for Trey Lance, and he may not even be your guy. And people are like, oh, well, he's going to start this year.
Yeah.
I'm reading a lot of stuff that GMs around the league are convinced that Sam Darnold will be the starting quarterback this year.
And he might be. I don't know that Brock is going to be able to actually be healthy enough anyway for the season. So maybe Sam. I don't know. And I think they are done with Trey Lance. So they're going to have to figure that out as the season goes on.
Yeah, you tried to trade him during the draft, already. And Brock Purdy came out a couple of weeks ago and said, I don't know if I'll play. Almost like it was his decision whether he would play this year or not.
Yeah.
I mean, you are coming off a UCL injury. You are going to be throwing the ball. Yeah, it's different dynamics than a pitcher, but still, you're throwing that football a lot. You've got to, make sure you're set up for the future. And so there's a lot of buzz that, a lot of GMs are kind of convinced that Sam Darnold will be the starting quarterback this year.
That's not a good sign.
For the 49ers.
But all the more reason why you got to get a good kicker, because he's probably not going to score in the red zone. So you're going to need a good kicker. But Isaiah Pacheco with the Chiefs, 7th-round pick, Super Bowl touchdown, played the Super Bowl with a broken hand and torn labrum. Man, I love this guy so much. I just absolutely didn't hear anything about it until now this last week. Andy Reid talked about it a little bit. I think he'll be healthy going into the season. If not, he'll be fine once the season really gets started. But absolutely love the way he plays, and just super cool that he was able to play through that and he didn't cry about it.
Yeah, no, NBA players should take note. The guy played with a broken hand and a torn labrum, and his main goal, and his goal is to hold on to a football and run. Yep. I bet you that probably didn't, and then take a hit on that shoulder as he's trying to break tackles, going through the middle of the line. Yeah, that dude went out there and played his butt off because you know what? It was playoff Super Bowl time. You played through it.
Absolutely.
Just saying.
And you did, and they won the Super Bowl, and that's just what he does. Yeah. The chat is just going crazy today. I love it. Tom Brady may opt out of his Fox broadcast deal, which he's making a ton, and it starts next year. I believe, correct? Not this year, next year. Does that mean that he may suit up for a return, or that Miami could be in the future? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Tua's contract and maybe Miami's still going to get Tom Brady after all when he's 45, 46. We saw him last year. Yeah,
so Tom said that the rumors were false, but the thing is that his contract with Fox was basically, okay, you come in when you want after you retire.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, he's retired now, but if you're telling him he can come when he wants, and the next, once he retires, then why wouldn't he go, okay, I unretire and I'll go play for, maybe he ends up with the 49ers like everyone predicted, Sam Darnold doesn't work out. Trey Lance isn't ready. Brock Purdy doesn't play this year.
I could see him in San Francisco. That's true.
Yeah. Or, Miami is another spot. If Tua isn't able to stay healthy, that team has the possibility to win that division if Tua's healthy. I mean, we saw Tua last year. To experience, I mean, he played better last year than I was ever expecting him to be when he was healthy, but he couldn't stay on the field. So, I mean, that team has opportunity to be a solid AFC East, contender.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We're going to move on real quick for time purposes to the MLB. I mean, huge fans, and we are to that point. A lot of times you're like, hey, I know the record is whatever, cold starts. You don't worry about the first month. Memorial Day is the first time that you really should look at the standings. So if you're like me and you're a Cardinals fan and you're crying yourself to sleep right now because they suck so bad, they finally won yesterday. But every single game is like, here we go again. Here we go again. So today we're going to play a game. We're going to play for either players or teams. We're going to talk about, hey, how do you fix them? So we're going to start with the Cardinals because that's the team I'm most frustrated with right now. That's just one of the teams that we're going to talk about. So, your opinion, how do you fix the Cardinals?
One, you got, we texted about this, a little bit. What was the big deal? And you hit something, so I'll let you have that. I think you have to get pitching. The pitching starting pitching, and even the bullpen has not been great. But the starting pitching, you look at their stats, they're the bottom 5 in almost every single one of these pitching stats. I mean, you're giving up a 270 batting average. Your the on base percentage is 345. OPS is 780 something. Gave up 262 hits already this year. Yeah, and the team ERA is around. It was a 4.5. So I mean, starting pitching has to be, I think, your first step because Matz isn't doing it. No. Michaelis hasn't really, taken a step. We thought, the early woes for Michaelis, they would turn around. They haven't. Yeah. Flaherty's pitched decent. I mean, I think it's
that 10 spot he put up. I'm telling you. Yeah. When you start to tell me that I got Mamba mentality, you don't have Mamba mentality. Right now.
Yeah, I mean, you get Waino back now, so that'll help a little bit. But one guy
yesterday,
one guy ain't going to solve the problem.
Yeah. So my biggest thing on the text to you was this team has no vocal leaders. They've had Yadier Molina for the last 20 years, nearly 20 years, where they've had nobody. He's been at the staple. So one, he leads the pitching staff, like you said. So there's he also helps with throwing out runners. There you go. Willson Contreras obviously hasn't done that. So Willson already, also big news, not going to play catcher anymore. He's going to transition to DH only. No more outfield. They did address that, which I'm thankful for. And here's my thing. I know he was signed as a catcher, and I was excited about that. I'm okay with him transitioning to the DH because the Cardinals never pay for a DH. So at least now they have, okay? Now the fact that Andrew Kisner can't hit and the other guy that they got can't hit, we'll focus on Ivan Herrera and the depth. So we're talking about fixing the team. So now that that's just my news here. I'm not devastated by that news. He made me so frustrated when he couldn't throw out a runner. You got to be able to throw out the runner. So I do wish that they didn't have the big bases. At this point right now, there's so many rules. One they didn't change. But looking at this team, vocal leadership is what they need. Nolan Arenado has not had to be this for the Cardinals because there's been Albert Pujols, there has been Adam Wainwright, there has also been Yadier Molina. Yadier Molina and Albert Pujols were huge last year, despite production numbers not being for Molina. This team now has to have someone step up. Everything has gone wrong. The bullpen is trash. The decisions by the manager, when to take out. They left in Wainwright a little bit too long in his first start back yesterday. He gave up an extra run. They still won the game. The game before that, they took out Montgomery too early. Guess what? Jordan Hicks comes in, absolutely blows it because he still doesn't have it. So just some mistakes here that I don't like, but also their offense isn't hitting in the right spots. Here's what I would say. Call up the Angels. What do you want for Shohei? Deal. They're going to want Jordan Walker. Okay. You know what? I get that. But if Shohei Ohtani is willing to sign a deal with St. Louis, then I would say do it. That's how I'd fix it. I know you're looking at me like this. I know it's not the Cardinal way, but that's how I'm going to fix it because guess what? It addressed the pitching and also addressed the hitting, and this team's defense has been bad too. I'm tired of Lars Nootbaar being hyped up as this 20 home run, 20 stolen base, 85 RBI guy who's now not playing fundamentally sound in the outfield, and he keeps making bad plays where he's not fielding it correctly, bad throws. Just play the game. The Cardinals are not playing Cardinal baseball.
Yeah, I mean,
blow up that pen, completely revamp it.
So on a panic meter, 1 to 10, what's your rating for the Cardinals as of right now?
For this season? The last time they started this bad was 1973. In 1973, I think they started like 9-25. It was worse. They finished 81-81. They missed the playoffs, obviously. This year, they have a chance to technically make the playoffs because there's more spots than ever. I don't know that happens. I think they've already missed the playoffs. So panic meter for this year, it's out of 10 if you're like, we should have won the division. Now, I did text my uncle. He's a longtime Cardinals fan. He's the reason why I'm a Cardinals fan. And I texted him, what is wrong with this team? This is like before they hit their full 8-game skid, by the way. Mm-hmm. He said, what am I going to say? And I said, it's a long season. It is a long season. And I said before, don't check the standings until Memorial Day. But if they want to go on and get to 500 by Memorial Day, they're going to have to win every single game.
Yeah. And so I had it as an 8. That, panicked. But I also, it is a long season. They could go on a 5-game win streak and just be that, but be close to 500 in an instant. So I'm not too. In
an instant, 2 weeks. Give it 2 weeks to get to 500. They are 11. And
no, I'm saying you go on a 5-game win streak. You get you're on the road to getting to there, and that's what 2, or just say 6 games, 2 series. It's possible, especially depending on, I don't know what the schedule looks like, but you also the thing is they lost 2 of the 3 or 2 of the 4 to the Tigers. But the thing is, the Tigers, have you seen their record interleague play?
No.
How many games do you think the Tigers they've played?
Oh, they're 15-18. That's surprising.
So they have played 11 games interleague, 12 games interleague. Okay. What is their record interleague?
I don't know. It used to show that on ESPN. It doesn't anymore. What is it?
10-2.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's wild that, for some reason against the National League teams, and I don't know exactly who they played, and so that could be a part of it. Yeah. But they've won over half their games against National League teams. So for some reason they have the National League's number.
Based off of run differential, the expected win-loss for the Cardinals is actually 15-20. So 5 games under 500, which I would not be panicking right now. I'd be very frustrated and mad. Mm-hmm. They're 3-17 in 9 games. They're 3-17 in 9 games. Huh. That's the worst in the league. It's not even close.
Wow.
So, all right, we got to move to another team. Otherwise, we're going to get stuck here. So we talked about some of the adjustments, right? Didn't we? I said bullpen help.
Yeah.
Pitching. So I think that would be the biggest thing. All right, so now we got to talk about the other. There's 2 teams in the AL we want to hit first. So number 1, unless you want to hit one, but number 1 is Seattle. Seattle was the darling last year. Right now they are struggling. They're 17-17. We say struggling, 17-17. They have a positive run differential, but the team is not performing like they should. So what do you have to do?
So the starting pitching, I think, has to be the first instance for the Seattle Mariners.
Okay.
You've got Carlos, you got Castillo, and you got Kirby that are pitching good. The other guys, Robbie Ray's out for the season now, so you lose, a former Cy Young Award winner who's been a little underwhelming since he's signed with the Mariners. Other guys just flexing his ERA, absolutely horrible. You got these younger guys. Gilbert hasn't, stepped up. I think you're gonna have to make another big move. I think starting pitching wise to give you that, push forward to help make that, another playoff run. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think if there's one thing I also would say, one tweak would be Colton Wong has been awful so far. Not what they paid for. No home runs, 8 RBIs. He's not striking out a ton, but he's not getting hits, and he's actually so far minus 1.1 in the WAR. So I think that is one of the huge concerns that they have right now. The team overall does pretty well if they're hitting power. They're still stealing bases, which is good. But I think pitching is huge. The problem is they also addressed this last year with Luis Castillo. But I think it's time to move on from Marco Gonzalez as well. I think unless you want 5.
Yeah, I think that they expected more from Logan Gilbert this year.
Yeah.
The way he pitched last year, I think they saw glimpses of a guy that could be a top end of the rotation, pitcher. And he's kind of just, 4 ERA isn't horrible, isn't, anything bad, but I don't think he's pitched up to the expectations of what you were expecting for this rotation, with Castillo and Kirby and Ray and, Gilbert. You were expecting to have a solid rotation, and now the rotation just quite hasn't been there. Julio Rodriguez, he's another guy we'll touch on, hasn't really played as great as everyone. There's people putting him in the MVP race, at the beginning of the season. And he's hasn't been, there yet. So,
yeah, and I think we can even take a quick detour on him right now. If you look at what he did last year, early on in the season, I think he came on pretty hot, but then he cooled off in the second month. If I'm remembering that correctly, it was the opposite. So
no, it's opposite.
Cool in April, and May was when it caught on fire. So maybe he's about to turn that corner. But he had 0 home runs, 6 RBIs, and 9 stolen bases last year in April. And then May, he went 6 home runs, 17 RBIs, and still 5 stolen bases. So this could be the time hopefully he does, because Seattle, again, great fan base, nice ballpark. And this is a team that everyone was excited to see. I think one other thing, when you have 3 of your 5 starting pitchers have a K per 9 under 7, that's concerning the way baseball is played today, especially when your defense isn't as good as you hope it would be. Now, Julio is pretty good in the outfield, but Colton Wong is one of those Gold Glovers that's not playing like a Gold Glover right now. So So, I don't think there's anything to panic with Julio. It's the second year in the majors. Yeah, I'll be fine. The one thing, good.
Yeah, so the one thing is I think maybe worry a little bit about is the 40 strikeouts already to 11 walks. That can be a little worse, and then the fact that he's been thrown out 4 times, which, with the way stolen bases are going right now, but he's got 6 steals and been thrown out 4 times. I thought when I saw that, I was like, that's kind of weird, because this is a guy that we're expecting. He could be somewhere in the top, at least top 10 in stolen bases, and he's been thrown out 4 times with the, it seems the ease it is for stealing bases this year. Yeah,
you just gotta, with stolen bases, it's so important to pay attention to the details as the base runner. So maybe that's where he's not focusing on. I don't know. I'm not his coach. I'm gonna throw in a curveball. How do you fix the Tampa Bay Rays?
You don't.
No, you do. No, there's one thing you do. I got it. Are you ready?
Let's hear it.
Move him to Nashville. All right, move him. That's what you got to do. That's all they're missing right now. Okay, so let's talk about the Chicago White Sox. This was another team that, we thought it was Tony La Russa. We thought that was the reason why they've been 81-81 their entire time. So here they are at 12-13, which is the same, or 12-23, excuse me. That's the same as what the run differential even says they should be. So they are playing as what they should. What do you do to fix this team?
You can't fix this team right now. This team, you've got all these guys that you had high expectations for. Luis Roberts had a scorching hot beginning of the season, cooled off a lot. Eloy Jimenez, you thought, all he's got to do is stay on the field. He's, hurt, and he's batting around 200, maybe below. Moncada, everyone is expecting this big upturn from Moncada.
Tim Anderson, always hurt.
Yeah, starting pitching. Lance Lynn got his first win the other day. He had a 7-something ERA, the highest out of qualified pitchers through. I think it was like 5 or 6 starts. Giolito, we've seen what Giolito has done over the last 2 years. Yeah. Cease isn't even having a great season. Cease is having a down year compared to last year. Bullpen,
you don't think you say blow it up, and I look at all these guys on paper. This team should be 23-12. You look at this is the same thing that the Cardinals are dealing with. So for the Cardinals, we didn't say blow it up. We said adjust a bunch of things on the pitching side. But here we are for the White Sox, we say you have to blow it up. I feel like that's just crazy.
The thing is you've had the Cardinals do this 1 year. Okay. This is a multi-year deal where you've had these guys that you're like, okay, all they got to do is stay healthy, stay on the field, or you've got all this potential and talent, and it just never reaches there. So it's either you are bringing in the wrong management and the wrong developers, within your system, or you need to trade them now, because this is probably the highest, trade value you're going to get for some of these guys. Like Tim Anderson. Yeah. Tim Anderson probably needs to be shipped off. you aren't going anywhere fast. He's contract's up in a couple of years. Ship him off to someone that needs a shortstop.
St. Louis.
All of the Dodgers.
No, St. Louis, man. You guys got the Dodgers got enough. You're gonna get Shohei Ohtani. Okay, just chill.
Ohtani can't play shortstop. Or you probably could, but
he probably could. You're right.
But no, I think they have came to this point where I think now is the time that this is probably the highest value you'll probably get for Luis Roberts. Eloy Jimenez, I mean, you traded to get him, and he just hasn't been able to stay on the field. Was number one prospect at the time, has all the potential in the world to be a 30, 45 home run hitter, but the problem is the injuries are always a thing. Andrew Vaughn's had a solid year. He's one of the young guys you probably keep. Mancada, the same thing. He had the one breakout year, and everyone's like, "Oh, okay, he's finally hitting his potential." A few seasons ago, and then we've seen it. This year, everyone expected, "Oh, he's in better shape. He's going to, be better." Started off scorching hot, just like Roberts did, and just absolutely just falling off again. So I think that you have waited around for the potential long enough that the potential hasn't hit, and so it's either, like I said, upper management, guys in the clubhouse, whoever it is. Yeah, we all thought it was La Russa. Obviously, that wasn't the main problem. La Russa was a problem, but it obviously wasn't the biggest issue that they had. So, development-wise, I think it's time just to get rid of the guys and try to get some young assets back in return and hope that maybe in a few years you can find something.
Yeah, and I think that's what's crazy. This team is still pretty young, and now you're it's just crazy. But the White Sox, we talked about this before the season started. They're the worst team as far as making the playoffs in the history of baseball, and this is going to be one of those seasons to continue. One other quick team I was going to ask you on. We already met one team in this division, but the Houston Astros right now they're 17-17. They do have a positive run differential, which is a good sign. But this is not defending World Series cheaters. Like ball playing right now.
Yeah, it's been a weird year for them. Like you said, they've just kind of I don't know. It's like they've
lost,
just been in this lull.
3 series in a row to the Phillies, to the Giants, and the Mariners. I'm sorry, that's 3 teams you can't. There's 3 teams that I think the Cardinals have got swept by in the last month. So
yeah, I mean, lose Garcia for the season. He has to have Tommy John. That hurts a little bit, but he wasn't having an outstanding year. I mean, you got another guy we'll probably mention, or we can mention along with this, Alex Bregman, a guy that has absolutely. I don't know. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and we were like, he'll figure it out. But then the more I look at it, and I look at his numbers before, he's only had like 3 really good years.
I know. I think this is. Listen, how old is he now? Like 30?
Yeah, 30? 28, 29.
Yeah, he just turned 29. This is who he is.
Yeah.
What are we looking for? Something different? Maybe he's not a 200 hitter, but this is the type of production.
Yeah, and it's like the strikeout numbers aren't super high or anything. He's got more walks than he does strikeouts. So you're like, what is the issue? You're batting 195. For a guy that has been in MVP talks, a few times in his career, has been talks of one of the top 3, one of the top 10 third basemen in baseball, and yet you just kind of have been non-existent. Yeah, he had a solid year last year, but then you look at the 2 years before that. Part of it is due to injuries, but
he got injured.
But you were just a guy that didn't produce as much, and so I think he's a very overhyped guy. And I think for them to take a big, chance at winning another one, they have to have him produce, because when he does, they play really good, and he gives protection to other guys in the lineup. But yeah, it's just
I don't want to call anybody out. What was the other year that they won the World Series?
Oh boy,
17.
17, yeah.
So his biggest year was 2019 with the juice ball. We all know that the ball was different that year. 41 home runs. The year before that, 31. If at the end of the year, if I looked up and he had 23 home runs, he had 80 RBIs, and he hit 250. Yep, that's what I expected. And if he does better than that, great. But that's what I would expect.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a very overhyped player, I think, and I honestly, the Astros, there's just something about them this year that, we thought maybe last year there was a possibility that we could finally see them kind of fall off. Maybe this is the year that, you've got a lot of older guys, but besides, Tucker and and Jordan, you've got Brown in there, he's, solid young pitcher, but it's just there's some guys like Brantley, Altuve, Bregman, players around there that just, I don't know. It's a confusing trying to wrap your head around a team that everyone expected, top to bottom was one of the most complete teams in baseball. And then for them just to be in this weird funk right now where you're like, I don't know where to put them. Do I put them at the top tier, one of the top teams, or do I put them towards the middle, towards the bottom?
Yeah. And here's the thing. I'm going to be really upset here in 3 months when we look up and boom, there they are. 10, 12 games over 500. I'm going to be really upset.
Mm-hmm.
Quincy just put in the chat, what's your thought on the pitch clock? We are 1 month into it, so we'll take a pause. We got a couple more teams we're going to hit before we wrap up the show here in a little bit. So, pitch clock so far, is it good? Would you tweak anything? How do you feel about it, Tony?
I love it. I like the way it's sped up the game. It's made it more exciting. You take the games from being 3 hours, 10, 15 minutes long to through the first month, the average games were 2 hours and 36 minutes. So you're shaving off a half an hour, which, may not seem like a lot, but, that's a half an hour. You're not sitting there in the stadium or you're, just like, oh man, I'm ready for this game to end type thing. I think it's done great things for the game. I think this is part of the reason why you see some of these ace starters having some issues. I believe that they're having to work faster than they are comfortable with, and they're, not, used to, so they're kind of struggling right now trying to figure out the difference. But I love what they've done with some of the new rules.
Yeah, I would add 2 seconds to the pitch clock for both. I think probably for both scenarios, and I think that would be good. The only other minor tweak I would say is allow the pitcher to take one time out per batter, because the batters get to do it, but pitchers don't. So it's just, I think that might tweak it. Right now, honestly, what I feel like it's done is level the playing field for a lot of these teams, because it's shortened the skill gap a little bit. Because like we said, some of the aces this year, Alek Manoah is one of these guys that was mentioned in chat earlier for the Blue Jays. This might be one of the reasons why he struggled among other pitchers too. So I love it. That's one thing I don't want them to change. Tweak, yes, but not change. Keep it. It's helped. Basketball has a shot clock. Hockey doesn't have a shot clock because they don't have to have one, right? It's already moving so fast. But football has a play clock. It just makes sense to have something like this for one of these sports that could be stagnant otherwise. Imagine basketball without a shot clock. How gross would that be?
Yeah, you get games like we had in high school basketball in the state of Oklahoma, 4-2.
So dumb. All right, so we'll jump in real quick. Any of the would you want to talk briefly about the Yankees? Any quick things you do? I mean, they're 18-17. It's just a really competitive division. Boston is now 21-15. They are on a tear right now.
Yeah, we can hit on the Yankees real quick.
Yeah, maybe next week we'll also talk about the teams that are doing well, like how real are they?
We can
do that a little bit to see if these Red Sox can keep going, and Pirates.
Yeah,
but yeah, Yankees. What would you do to change?
Yeah, I think they need some more offense somewhere. So, I mean, Judge being out, you absolutely saw that he was a big part of the offense, and is something everyone knew last year, but for some reason they still pitched to the guy, and he ends up breaking the home run record. I'm like, last year I would have pitched around him. I would have given him the Barry Bonds treatment, because no one else on that offense was going to beat you. Yeah. The only time they won those games is whenever Judge had big games, was driving in runs, hitting home runs. I don't know. You can't rely on Rizzo a whole lot anymore.
280 with 6 home runs.
Yeah. He I think the shift has helped him a lot this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, Stanton's hurt. Other than that, I mean, Volpe hasn't done a whole lot. Yeah. Torres had an absolute, scorcher of the season, start the season, like a lot of players did. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, at one point, during the season, he went through like a 4 for 42 stretch or something like that, if I remember correctly. And so, yeah, I think that they got to find something there. Rodon, this whole Carlos Rodon issue is a big problem. A guy that you paid $167 million to, and now he's saying he has a chronic back issue. that you're not sure if it'll be July or August when you see him on the mound. This is a guy you're penciling as your second ace behind Garrett Cole, and you haven't seen him touch the mound in a Yankees uniform.
Yeah, there is. I mean, for an 18 and 17 team, my panic meter, because of how much better that division is actually might be like for the season to make it actually might be almost as high as it is for the Cardinals because of the things you said. Starting pitching, I think their bullpen is much better than the Cardinals, but starting pitching and then absolutely hitting. There's too many balls in this offense, and I love Volpe. I think he's going to be good 3 years from now, but he right now is just struggling to put the bat to the ball and find some open space.
Yeah.
So that's huge. Gleyber Torres, I always loved Gleyber Torres. I thought he was going to be great. He just really has never filled in those shoes that I think were kind of laid out for him. So it's going to be tough for them to turn it around. They have, I mean, they're in a good division and a good opportunity to make a playoff run for one of those wild card spots, but I don't know that they're going to be able to catch Tampa Bay. I don't know that they're – I mean, if Baltimore's 2-12, I mean, I can't wait to talk about them next week. So
yeah, and this is exactly why I didn't want to pick them to win the AL East is because I was like, what have you done with this team that is any different than what it was last year? And yeah, they won. They almost won the division. It's just they didn't do enough. And now you add a year onto all these guys, especially a guy like Rizzo. And yeah, Rizzo's hitting right now. He did the same thing last year, ended up with a 213 average. So
that's true.
You add another year onto Stanton, another year onto Judge. Donaldson. Bader, we know he's not going to be the biggest, bat. He's going to have the defense, going to maybe be a solid bat if he can get it together. But there's just not a whole lot there to help Aaron Judge. And that was my biggest worry for them is there going to be enough offense to push you to be that, World Series contender? Yeah.
Well, let's look over to a World Series contender expected based off payroll. The biggest payroll in baseball, the New York Mets are 17-18, and that's actually they're projected based off of run differential is actually 16-19. So they're actually overperforming what the expectation is, just barely. They're 7 games back at the Braves, and we both don't think the Braves are going to slow down. Guys, do not ask me to tell you who my World Series pick was for the NL. Moving on. So, what do you do with the Mets?
I think this is kind of something we expected. The Mets to Met. You go out and spend all this money, and you think, oh, the money's going to bring in the wins. And yeah, Scherzer, he gets knocked two starts because of the sticky stints on his glove. Verlander's hurt to start the season, so you take out 2 of your aces there. So you got some, pitching woes there. Offensive wise, you really haven't done a whole lot. I mean, Alonso started off solid, but you know what Alonso is. He's never going to be this 300 hitter. Yeah, he's going to have 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. Yeah, but he's never going to be this, consistent get on base type guy. There's just not a whole lot with the offense that I think that has been the biggest letdown for me. I mean, I expected the pitching to have troubles whenever you do have Verlander down and you do have Scherzer out a couple starts. It's gonna truly affect you, at some point. So, yeah, I think that I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, you brought up Brett Beatty, try to help the offense with Escobar being hurt, with his situation. And Beatty's had a few solid games. He's, not hitting extremely well, but he's not like, falling flat on his face. There's not a whole lot of help that you're going to get from your minor league system. You got your 2 best guys up, and the other guys that are up, down in the minors aren't anywhere close to being ready. And so they may have to go trade market somewhere, but
here's the problem. When you spend so much money, now you're attached to that contract. So the pieces that you're going to make are small pieces, so you can only make small adjustments. This is a team that it sounds like there's more than small adjustments needed based off of injuries right now. I mean, they don't have their closer. Yeah. Like you said, so, injury to Verlander and Scherzer as well, just with the suspension. So the biggest issue I'm seeing right now for this team is they've almost boxed themselves in. It's you figure it out or we don't go anywhere.
So maybe that kind of reminds me of it reminds me of the Red Sox.
I thought you were going to say same thing.
You go out, years back they went out and signed Crawford to this massive contract, Adrian Gonzalez to this massive contract, Sandoval to this massive contract. You threw all these money at these guys, and then you just absolutely did nothing. And so now you're trading these guys, and you're eating a lot of that contract, and you're trying to basically just get rid of them. I can see that being an issue for them in the next year or so, that they won't live up to those expectations of, oh, we paid all these guys all this money, and now we're in trouble.
Yeah. Now, there are two other teams, and we're going to hit very quickly because we're out of time, that we have with either the Phillies or the Padres. Which one do you want to hit? And I'll hit the opposite.
I'll go with the Padres.
Okay. How do you fix the Padres?
Yeah, this is the biggest problem with the Padres, is that you went out and you spent all this money, and your pitching is going to be a big problem. You didn't do anything to adjust the pitch. Your starting pitching. Musgrove has had a decent year, up and down. Darvish, same thing, up and down. You can expect Darvish to get hurt probably in the next week or so. Snell has not lived up to the contract, or the Cy Young year that he had. And then you got Juan Soto batting .220, this guy that you traded every single farmhand for, and the guy has underperformed. Yeah, he may lead the major leagues in walks, but he also has 38 strikeouts this year. Yeah. A guy that has already reached a third of what he had last year strikeout-wise, and it's only the first month of the season. Yeah. That's a problem. That he's being more aggressive at the plate, which I think is something maybe people wanted to see, but it's now to a detriment to him, where he's not getting on base. Mm-hmm. Everything's down right now. Machado's starting to pick things up, but I think the offense is just Bogarts and Tatis right now, and that's about it. The rest of the offense has just been bleh. And same with the starting pitching. This pitching is going to be a big problem. Bullpen solid for the most part. They've had some issues the last few weeks, but yeah, I think you got to – I don't know how you approach this. It's kind of the same thing with the Mets. You spent so much money. Now what do? You box yourself in. You don't even have prospects to trade to go out to get better.
Yeah,
at least the Mets do.
Yeah, and that's a good point. So you look at, for me, if I look at the Phillies, this is a team, honestly, this is what we expected. This is a team that went way further than they should have last year. They got hot at the right time. So my advice, do it again. Do the same thing, because right now they have a lot of money tied up with certain players, Harper, Turner, and even some of their pitching. And Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler both have not done as well as they should have. So stand pat, get better. Aaron Nola's not striking guys out like he should be. Now, we have seen him do up and down in the past, and so hopefully this year he can figure the right path again. But for me, you look at who they have. Their bullpen is the bullpen. It's just a little better than the Cardinals bullpen. And I look at this team with Schwarber, who's hitting much better this year. Well, no, excuse me, hitting much worse this year. I got his line mixed up with Real Muto. The players are doing what they're going to do. If you continue just to stand pat, make a hot run at the right time, this team could sneak into the playoffs again. I just don't think that they had the pieces necessarily and the money to be flexible enough to make those really big adjustments. They're going to have to do it in-house. Yeah,
I think one quick thing on Nola, the one thing that I would be worried about is that you look at some of these numbers like hits, hits, walks, and his whip compared to what his normal is way up right now compared to his average for his career. And so I think that's an issue, that he's not throwing as hard as he has, and he's leaving the ball over the plate more than he normally does. He doesn't have the control that he's had in the past, and so I think that there's some issues there somewheres, and that would be my big worry for him.
Yeah. Well, if you guys didn't know this already, next week we're going to have a guest on our show, one of the biggest, best-ranked prospects when it comes to college football, and we cannot wait. It's going to be a special time just to kind of pick his brain about the process, what it's like. Anything you want to share about that, Tubby? I mean, you excited, right?
I'm so excited. I mean, number one interior offensive lineman in the 2024 recruiting class.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff, the kid is 6'5", 290, and can you guess what his 40 time was?
Better than mine.
4.98.
Okay, yeah, definitely better than mine.
Yeah, he can move for a big boy. I'm so excited for this one. I'm ready to talk to Casey. Just pick his brain from everything. Seems like a super nice kid. He's super excited to come on the podcast. I'm pumped.
Yeah, very excited for that. And then next week, we're also going to look at the standings and say, is this team for real? So stick with us. Thank you so much for everyone jumping into the chat today. A ton of fun, a lot of stories. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Until then, just appreciate you downloading. Appreciate you subscribing. You guys are the best. Make this podcast so much fun.
See ya.